Aviation 1-3.
Welcome to another edition of Zoomin with Volaire. I'm Jack Penning. These videos always produced by Alex Lynch at Gen XI Productions. We're joined on Zoomin with Volaire this week by Brad Nelson and Wade Wilkinson from Sojourn, travel marketing company that helps airports, hotels, and other travel providers find their customers as they're searching for travel and helps to retarget those customers potentially to new destinations. Talking about marketing opportunities in a pandemic, many airports have been afraid to do much marketing simply because they don't want to seem insensitive and they don't want to spend money on things that maybe won't have a good return on investment. But what we're finding is companies like Sojourn help us to target passengers who are already motivated. We're going to talk with Brad and Wade about that today. Brad and Wade, again, thank you so much for joining us. For airports like the ones you guys work with us on, what should regional airports or even airports with a few million annual passengers, what should they be doing right now in terms of advertising, and who should they be targeting, and how should they be doing that? What's your advice to those airports?
The biggest thing, like I said, overall intent to travel is there. But I think that everyone has questions at the same time. So whatever they can do to ease concerns around mask mandates, answering the questions around what's required when you get there, how the process has changed, anything that's educational around how it is safe to travel on airplanes, anything about how much the air is circulated through planes, stuff like that's helpful. We've seen a lot of people looking for options. Like I said, there's a portion of people that are willing to travel right now, and there's a portion of people that just flat out won't. So the one level, they're going to travel 2 or 3 times and take advantage of good deals. We've done a lot with some of the airports to really prevent leakage to other airports and gain leakage from their competitors, because they may be a small airport compared to somewhere else down the street. The person lives in between. We're able to see travel intent out of each one and try to push them towards one or the other. So that's really kind of the big thing that we've seen is ease concerns, help educate them on the new process, what's changed. And then we have the intent data to be able to push them, try to push them to fly out of one versus the other and promote the fact that you're going to be exposed less at this potentially smaller airport than the big guy down the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think, go ahead, Wade.
I was just going to say, I think Brad made a good point there. I think there's a very good opportunity today to, one, the education piece is a massive part of it, right? Like you want and need people to feel safe. But to Brad's point too, if I lived in Chicago, I'm going to be a lot more skeptical to fly out of O'Hare than I may be, a regional airport that offers the same flight. So kind of that competitive conquesting is something that is kind of a low hanging fruit today. And I think then to Brad's point, you kind of have that natural advantage of there's less people here, it's easier to socially distance. And I mean, that hits the nail on the head of kind of what we were talking about earlier, where rural destinations are the hotspot, right? It's easier to social distance. You're not in big crowds. And I think the other point that I would make is not everyone is looking to book today. And you had kind of spoken about this earlier, but some of the deals are too good to pass up that people are still searching, right? And, I in Omaha may want to go to Denver in 6 months, but I may not be ready to book today, but I may be keeping an eye on prices or what have you. And, if cases start to quickly improve, then, hey, I'm going to pull that trigger. And so I think there is sort of an implicit brand awareness kind of factor and element there where, having kind of those marketing efforts out there and staying top of mind with people, the next time they travel, they may say, I now know about this regional airport, or, I now want to fly out of X, Y, and Z rather than, what I've kind of always done when things were more of a quote unquote normal. So kind of a lot of different points there, but I think, they all kind of center on where do you feel safe, and what sort of like eases your concerns both in an airport, but also just flying in general.
And I think, we've seen with some of our airports the desire to kind of almost go into the turtle shell right now and just kind of be quiet. And we definitely understand that. But I don't know that that strategy is the best in terms of a marketing strategy with everything that's going on. And I think you guys would probably agree with me that there needs to be some thought into how messaging needs to continue through the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it comes down to the destination you're going to, because obviously that's the biggest thing people are looking at is what's going to happen when they get there. Where do they fly into? So promoting the places that are in good spots right now with COVID and taking advantage of that demand. I've talked to a lot of airports, especially smaller regional ones, that are trying to get additional routes from various airlines. And from what I've been told, the easiest way to do that is fill the current routes you have. So being able to, again, take advantage of the demand when it's there, I think is the best thing you can do. And again, demand, despite, living in a pandemic, there is demand to travel right now. So it's just getting in front of them at the right time.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Jack, like you mentioned, like kind of that normal or instinctive feeling of, I don't want to put the wrong message out in front of people there's nothing wrong with that. Right. Mm-hmm. We want to be sensitive. And in today's day and age of social media, that things can very quickly backfire. But I think, when it comes, putting a smart message out there, and whether that's educational, being safe, we've seen some that's, hey, search now, book later, or book now, come later, what have you. I think as long as you can get that to a good spot that resonates, then the rest is much more back to a quote unquote normal, where then it's just tailoring demand and supply, like I mentioned. But as long as you have that message kind of right, and you're resonating with the current environment and not being insensitive to, hey, come to, middle of Florida. Nothing wrong with going to Florida, but the kind of those large populated areas, and those can, if you're not tailoring that the right way, that can kind of create some unease with people.
Once again, thanks to Brad Nelson, Wade Wilkinson with Sojourn for joining us for Zoomin with Volaire. And we, of course, always appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.